What's up, everyone? Welcome to your weekly All49ers Roundtable. I'm Grant Cohn, joined by Leo Luna, Jack Hammer, and Maverick Pallack. Today, we're going to be talking about the San Francisco 49ers, your favorite football team. The first thing we're going to talk about is the franchise quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, who may no longer be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. Hard to say. So my question to lead this off, and Maverick, will start with you today, is and basically because you are the most positive Jimmy Garoppolo analyst on this table for good reason. He's been terrific. My question to you is, will he be a starter in the NFL week 1 of 2021?
I definitely think it's too hard to tell if he's a starter in 2021. Do I think he'll have the opportunity to start? I 100% agree with that. But just look at New England with their quarterback situation. Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham were in a big competition, at least to start, before Jarrett Stidham had that health scare where he had to go to the hospital. Everyone out there was saying Stidham was going to be the starter. I don't know if that was smoke and mirrors, but in today's NFL, unless you're Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, even Drew Brees, you got to win a starting job. And I think Garoppolo will have to go somewhere and win it, which I think could be good for him, is have to win a starting job again.
Yeah. Okay, Jack.
Yep. I think he's going to be a starter somewhere. Mav brought up New England. That's a perfect landing spot for him. If the 49ers were to either cut him or trade him, that's a perfect spot for him to go and start. He's no worse. He's better than Cam Newton. And we haven't seen anything from Jarrett Stidham at this point. And the fact that Newton's beat him out would lead me to think that he's not very good. So that's where I would think that he would land up. That makes the most sense at this point, really.
Okay.
Same thing. I think he'll be a starter in the NFL next year, whether it's the 49ers or that's a different topic. But you just brought up New England. That's a great spot. You could even say Jimmy Garoppolo might even want to take a discount to go back to coach and not Kyle. And as well as the Bears, like, they're still, it is what it is. Like, they're still in the playoff hunt. They may end up with the pick past 15. You could make the argument, are they able to take one of these top 4 quarterbacks in the draft? Maybe not. So they could sign Jimmy Garoppolo as well, and he could take a hometown discount to go back to Chicago. There will be options for Jimmy Garoppolo on the table. Whether it's San Francisco or not, that's a different story.
Okay, I think a lot of teams are going to be interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. New England, Chicago, a lot of teams. But I don't know if they're going to be interested in him on his current contract. I don't know that anyone's going to want to bring him in making $27 million a year. And I don't know that any team's going to want to hand a starting job to him. I mean, you guys all said New England. I said New England. New England could finish the season with what? 3 wins? 4 wins? They could. I mean, they're not very good. And if they do, I would think they would draft a quarterback. I really would. I mean, maybe they wouldn't. But I think what they could do is draft a quarterback and sign Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a number 2 quarterback week 1 of 2021. The way Ryan Tannehill was a number 2 quarterback week 1 of 2019. And he'll get his shot eventually, and he may do really well, but I think he's going to have to work back from being a backup, and that may be the best thing for him. Leo.
My thing on that is, with New England, I would say their floor is probably 4 wins. If they end up with 4 wins, that means Belichick's going to end up with probably the 4th best quarterback prospect. Is a guy like Bill Belichick going to want to use his first round pick on a 4th quarterback prospect guy, or would he rather give up like a 3rd or 4th round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo? I would say he would rather give up a 3rd or 4th round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Again, bringing in Jimmy after he's missed all this time to injury, after what he showed on tape before he got injured this year, I'm not sure that any team is going to bring him in as a unquestioned starter. They may let him compete. They may bring him in as a backup eventually, and he may finish 2021 as a starting quarterback. But I think my hot take of the day is that he will not be a starting quarterback week 1 of 2021, and I base that on absolutely nothing, Leo. Nothing. That's how it works around here. You just say stuff and hope no one remembers when you're wrong, and if you're right, then you show everyone that you were right. Only in that case. That works. Leo, that's a little advice. What's up?
All right, got it. No, I was going to say, lately, whatever you say, people save it on the internet and post it on Twitter.
I like that shirt, by the way. It's a heck of a shirt.
Thank you.
All right, let's continue to make projections based on absolutely no evidence, and let's just guess. Who will the 49ers starting quarterback be week 1 of 2021? And I ask, of course, because we don't know where Jimmy's going to be. We don't know who they're drafting. There are some fluid parts. So how do you think this story's going to start in 2021, week 1?
I'm gonna say, can I say rookie? Can I say
Yeah.
rookie quarterback? I not really put a name out there because things could just be so wild with what happens in the draft. But how I look at it as far as this 49ers team, what they did with Jimmy Garoppolo out on the field and with these Jimmy throws, like you say, there's no reason a rookie that has the capability can go out there from BYU, Zach Wilson, or Mac Jones from Alabama. There's no reason they can't go out there and put up 25, 27, 30 points a game with the way Shanahan builds this offense. Especially, like I said, they do have Debo, they have Ayuk, they have Kittle, they have Raheem, all coming back next year. You let Jimmy go, you keep Trent Williams as well. So it's like the formula is there. They have a outstanding defense, we would figure, next season with Bosa being back. Potentially another edge rusher that's not named Armstead. And so, like, the formula is there to have a consistent and a successful offense. You look at what the Chargers are doing with Herbert, what the Bengals are doing over there with Burrow, as well as the Dolphins with Tua. The Cardinals, like, it goes on and on and on. There's no reason you can't have success in 2021, because we're talking about next year. There's no reason you can't have success in 2021 NFL with the rookie quarterback.
Yes. Jack.
All right. I'm gonna say it's either going to be a rookie or Nick Mullins.
Okay.
I could see Mac Jones being the guy that they're going to go after.
Oh.
So that they're not using the first round pick on a quarterback. I think he's going to be something that's going to be around a little bit later that they might be able to pick up.
Okay.
And so I think it would be a situation where they're going to have those two battle it out and see who wins the job.
Okay. Maverick.
I am hesitant to say it's going to be a rookie just because I don't see Kyle Shanahan picking a rookie with that first round pick unless it's a true value pick. Like, it is the best player available. Trey Lance falls, Mac Jones, they value higher than a lot of people, the draft people are valuing him at. Once again, it doesn't matter what Mel Kiper values a quarterback at. It's what the team does. So if Mac Jones is the guy they want there, they're going to do it. But I think it's going to be – I think it depends on Mullins. And with how Mullins finishes this season, if Mullins is really bad, like he plays like he did against Philadelphia, it could end up being exactly what happened with Justin School and Trent Williams, where the backup plays so poorly, the starter that could be gone the next year or unintentionally works his way back into the future plans, which is what happened with School. Because I think we were all pretty on the same page where Trent Williams could have been a big way to save cap money next year. And now he is an essential part, almost. So I would say Nick Mullins or other veteran brought in, not a Matt Ryan type veteran. I think that's too expensive, but a middle-class veteran starts. And then a rookie they've drafted in the second or third round is their quarterback by week 16.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Nick Mullins as well. You bring up a really good point. If he finishes the season strong, it'll be Nick Mullins. If he doesn't, I don't think they can do that. But if he does finish the season strong, the reason I say Mullins and not a rookie, Shanahan could start the rookie. He did it in 2012 with Robert Griffin. Started him week 1, had a good year. But if you remember, he overhauled his entire offense for RG3. They basically installed the Baylor offense that season, and they did it because Dan Snyder picked RG3 and said, play him, you got to. So he didn't have a choice. I don't think Kyle Shanahan wants to pick a guy like Justin Fields and then just install the Ohio State offense and say, go get him. I think Kyle Shanahan would like to have a premium talent who can learn his system. And in his system, you got to be under center a lot. It's the same thing that Jimmy Garoppolo dealt with in New England. He got drafted there, good thrower, needed to sit on the bench for a while and learn how to play from under center because he didn't do that in college. So for a rookie to be able to function in this offense, he better show that he can operate the ball from under center. I remember Colin Kaepernick, his first year on the Niners. You know, he couldn't play as a rookie. In training camp, he wouldn't even consistently get the ball on the snap from the center under. He would fumble fairly consistently. So if Zach Wilson can do it, then he'll be ready. If not, I think Nick Mullins will start the first few weeks until the rookie's ready to take snaps under center.
See, since everybody else said Nick Mullins or a veteran, I'm going to make my case for why you would start the rookie. Because I think if you bring in Mac Jones or even Zach Wilson, I think those are going to probably the two guys that are realistic as far as earlier in the draft. You bring in one of those two guys, they're beating out Nick Mullins for the job. They're going to beat out Nick Mullins. They're going to beat out any other veteran because they're just a superior talent than those guys. And how you develop them is just you work shotgun maybe earlier into the season. You give him some Jimmy throws or Jimmy gimmies, as you say, and then you later on into the season, that's where Kyle can open up his playbook. But there's no reason you bring in a Zach Wilson and then give the job to Nick Mullins. Zach Wilson's gonna beat out Nick Mullins 10 out of 10.
I'm just looking at the Miami model. They drafted Tua with the 7th pick, decided he wasn't ready right away, didn't force him, didn't fast track him. They went with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is better than Nick Mullins, but they have some similarities. I mean, they didn't want Fitzpatrick to be their guy, and he did pretty good. He knew the offense better than Tua. He gave Tua time to get himself ready, and it seemed to work out pretty well. Also, in Kansas City, it seemed to work out pretty well, giving Mahomes some time to learn behind Patrick Mahomes. Wouldn't be the worst thing necessarily if Nick Mullins could just give the rookie time, but I think, yes, if they had to, if Zach Wilson just came in and made it real clear in training camp, they wouldn't hesitate, Leo. They wouldn't hesitate.
Yeah, I completely agree on that, but also this is a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. They're not really the Miami Dolphins, and like you illustrated, Fitzpatrick and Alex Smith are a whole lot better than Nick Mullins.
True. I'm just saying with a guy like Zach Wilson, if he's never played from under center, if he's playing in the Mountain West or wherever he's from, that first training camp could be a little rough for him. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Maybe he'll tear it up, but it might be like, whoa, the speed of the game is wow. Oh my goodness, look at NFL players.
One thing on a rookie quarterback, though, as far as I know, I don't think a rookie quarterback has ever won the Super Bowl or even gone to the Super Bowl his rookie season. So just having Zach Wilson or whatever, that does delay the Super Bowl window at least for a year in a sense. So having a veteran that can compete can help that. The Chiefs with Alex Smith when Patrick Mahomes was sitting were a Super Bowl contender for a little bit. Remember, they started off that season really hot with Kareem Hunt's rookie year, and they got going, and then Patrick Mahomes took over the next season. So if 2021 is the Super Bowl window, they might need to get a veteran.
I think that looking at the 49ers and talking about the Super Bowl window, I just think that that's not really accurate with where the 49ers are right now. The 49ers Super Bowl window was 2019, was supposed to be 2020. If you look at the changes that they've lost, what they've lost since 2019 and now, there's a reason why I didn't have them even winning the division this year, and that had a lot to do with it. I think they've got to rebuild. Their defense isn't the same. I think Leo had mentioned the 49ers aren't the Dolphins, and that's right. The Dolphins are better than the 49ers right now. So I think they really need to look at what they're doing. As far as Mullins, people get caught up in the win-loss record. Compare that to Garoppolo. I know Mullins isn't great, but if you look at the quarterbacks that they placed against in their starts, there's a big difference. Other than 2019, the defense was awesome. 2017, 2018, 2020, defense has struggled. And look at those teams that Garoppolo beat in 2017 and who their quarterbacks were.
Yeah.
Look at
I can name him right now. Mitchell Trubisky, rookie. Blake Bortles. Tom Savage. I don't know why I remember this. Yeah. I've listed that. No, Sean Mannion. Seriously.
Yeah. And I think that as one of the commenters over on the side mentioned here, with everything with COVID, who knows what's going to happen at the preseason? Having a guy like Mullins to start off the year could be a good way to go.
Good point. He's not going anywhere. He's a much cheaper bridge than Jimmy Garoppolo. He just is. And if that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is, a bridge quarterback or a borderline starter, then you just stick with the cheaper option who's younger and doesn't have the injury issues. Should we move on?
I just want to say, okay.
Go ahead. One at a time.
If the 49ers take Wilson, he has to wear number 3.
Oh yeah, you have to. That's a good number for a quarterback. Also underrated number. What's up, Maverick?
I just want to say, in the comments, I saw someone say Big Ben won it as a rookie, and he did not. That wasn't his first year as a starter. The only quarterbacks to win it as a first-year starter were Brady and Kurt Warner, and they were not rookies. They sat and learned the system. Kurt Warner came over from, I believe, the Arena Football League or the CFL, and Brady was sitting behind Bledsoe. So guys need to sit at least a little. Obviously, the NFL's changed since then, and rookies come in way more prepared, so it could change. But I just think a veteran's important. Yeah,
I agree. And if I think Mullins is the option because he knows the offense so well. I mean, you could bring in Fitzpatrick, who's 15 years older than Nick Mullins, or Jameis Winston, who's much more talented than Nick Mullins. But what are you expecting to get from Jameis Winston week 1? And how effective of a bridge quarterback is he really going to be if he's throwing 8,000 interceptions a game? Should we move on?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk for Javon Kinlaw, go Positivity Central, because everyone likes a good positive segment. Javon Kinlaw now has 0 sacks and 1 quarterback hit. He might look better if Nick Bosa and Dee Ford were out there. or he might not. Guys, what are the realistic expectations for Javon Kinlaw's career now that we've seen 9 games of him? And I have no idea who starts. Whoever wants to start, really.
I'll go ahead and just start on it real quick.
Go ahead, Jack.
I think with Kinlaw, it's going to be interesting because he didn't have a preseason. He didn't have a workout program. So that's part of what might be holding him back. So we'll see what really kind of happens next year. But if you've just watched the guy play where he is right now, he looks a lot like Solomon Thomas. He's he can't rush the passer, and he plays the run okay.
Yep.
He's not great at the run, but he's a middle of the road guy. It's
a bull rusher.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think he'll get better once you give him a full off season. I think he's better than what Solomon Thomas showed his rookie year. He had the sack. If he had Bosa or D4, he would probably have 3 sacks at this point because he's getting close. He's got his hands on the quarterback a couple of times. Just hasn't brought him in, even though he's this big player that everyone talks about. But I think he is progressing. I know Buckner had a hell of a rookie year compared to Kinlaw at this point, but I do see a lot of similarities to where they're getting close on plays, but those plays aren't just coming into fruition at this point. But I'm noticing more than a Solomon Thomas, so I'm not going to label him a Solomon Thomas at this point. I think he is behind schedule. If you want him to be the next Buckner, he's definitely behind schedule in that aspect, but I still think he could be a hell of a player on this defense moving forward.
Yeah, I think Kinlaw can definitely still be good. As Jack said, no preseason, that stuff. And he was drafted to not be the number 1, number 2 guy on defense, on pass rush and run stopping situations. They were expecting Eric Armstead to be what he was last season, and that hasn't come true. I'm sure Grant will touch on Eric Armstead a little when he's talking, but Armstead and then Bosa going out, that's tough. But I think it was always unfair for Kinlaw just being the pick that was acquired for Buckner. That's why it's just hard to draft the same position as the guy you just traded, because for the rest of his career, he's going to be compared to Buckner. And to me, they're not as similar players. I think Buckner was much more pro-ready, and Kinlaw is a raw player that will take 2 years. I don't think he's going to reach the Buckner level, but that's not saying a lot because I think Buckner's a top 2 defensive tackle in the NFL. And I think Kinlaw can definitely get into that better range, but Buckner is really good, and that's just unfair to compare Kinlaw to Buckner.
You sound like someone that went to Oregon.
I think it's fair to compare him to Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead came into the league as a bull rusher without really any moves, very athletic, and he improved, I guess. So what I think realistic expectations for Javon Kinlaw is like maybe 1 sack this year, maybe 3 sacks next year, maybe like 2 sacks in year 3, and then maybe 3 sacks in year 4. But then when the Niners pick up his 5th-year option and everyone's mad about it, he'll get like 11 sacks. And then everyone be like, see, Chris Kosarick figured it out. He's great now. And they're going to give him like $170 million because of inflation. It'll be like 5 years from now. And then year 6, he'll have like 2 sacks. And then in year 7, he'll have like 1. That's what I think. I don't know why. Maybe I'm being pessimistic. It's just that I feel like I've seen this story before. I feel like it's deja vu, and I can't put my finger on what I'm thinking about. But I definitely feel like I've seen this play out before. So maybe that's not fair. But that's what's going to happen.
Armstead was handpicked by Tom Sula to be a legend. I don't know why you're hating.
Right. So, again, Kinlaw and Eric Armstead were handpicked by 2 of the best D-line coaches in the league. They were given every opportunity to succeed. They both came into the league as raw projects. And I think Kinlaw is going to get a lot of money someday. I do. I just don't think he's going to get a lot of sacks. So, sorry. But that's my brand, is to just be negative. But I feel like it usually works out. When you cover the 49ers and you just take the approach that everything they do is wrong, you're right like 75% of the time. So that's more advice for the cheering out there. The cheering. Okay, let's move on. Fred Warner is having a terrific year. The rest of the Niners aren't. He really is. And it's looking like he's going to get more money than Eric Armstead, George Kittle. I don't know. Everyone's saying he's the best middle linebacker in the league. Currently, the highest paid middle linebacker is Bobby Wagner, making $18 million annually. If I were Fred Warner's agent, I would enter the negotiation asking for 20, maybe willing to come down from there. But the last time a defensive player on the Niners asked for $20 million a year, the Niners traded him without even negotiating. That was DeForest Buckner. So my question is, A, is Fred Warner worth $20 million a year? And B, if he dares to ask for it, are the Niners going to trade him too?
I don't see them trading him. I think they kind of learned their lesson, at least from the Buckner thing of, while he's cheap, you got to hold on to him at least a little. But I think they do have a way to sign him to that 20 million or 17 million, whatever it's going to end up being. Because if they cut D Ford and Weston Richburg, I wrote down the cap numbers. I had Grant explain to me a little bit about the cap earlier before the show. But 16 million saved toward the cap in 2021 if they cut D Ford. There's a lot of dead money in 21 and 22, but they get 16 million right there. And then Weston Richburg is 8.4 million saved in 2021. Same thing, a lot of dead money. Right there, that's 24.4 million for the cap. And that's a way to get Warner back in the building for the next couple of years. I think he's a guy you got to build around. With what the Panthers did with Luke Kuechly, that's a way they kept their defense alive. And with Bobby Wagner, that's been the Seahawks' way to win games the last couple of years. Not the Legion of Boom, it's Bobby Wagner.
True. That was the guy that they were most intent on keeping throughout the whole thing, which is interesting. Jack?
Yeah, Warner's definitely worth $20 million. He's their best defensive player. He's the guy that you should be giving the money. The money should have been going to Buckner and to him. Those are the two guys that should be getting the money on the 49ers defense. So the two best guys, and they have one of them left. They better keep him.
Yep. No brainer. Unless Leo disagrees. What do you think, Leo?
Nah. I think you got to keep Warner. With this franchise, they love paying their middle linebackers, and Bobby Wagner, I just looked it up. His average cap or his average salary is 18, but his cap hit only goes over 18 1 out of 4 years. So that's something similar Perot could do with Fred Warner. If his cap number, say, is 20, his average salary is 20, they're going to want to keep him long because he's getting a hell of a lot better with his pass rush. And he could cover wide receivers as a middle linebacker, and that's just something you don't see too often on this defense. He's a leader that these defensive players love. He's a smart player. He's like Richard Sherman as a middle linebacker. Yeah. So you're kind of, if he could just add more of a Navarro Bowman-like pass rush, the kid's insane, and he's on his way to Canton. So there's no way they move on from him.
Yeah, I want to say, hell yes, he's worth $20 million a year. And last year, I think there were whispers coming out of the Niners organization that, Buckner's great, but no defensive player is worth $20 million a year unless he's a D-end or he's Aaron Donald. I think that was it. No defensive tackle is worth $20 million a year unless he's Aaron Donald. Well, they better not say stuff like that about Fred Warner because they were wrong about DeForest Buckner. The reason that DeForest Buckner is worth $20 million a year is that even though it's not just how good he is. He has 2.5 sacks right now. So it's not just his production. It's his reliability. It's the fact that he's not going to miss a game. He's going to be a leader in the locker room. He's going to make other players better. That's not Eric Armstead. I mean, he's floating through this season with everyone else. He doesn't make other players better. Fred Warner never misses a game. Fred Warner makes other players better. Fred Warner's a leader. All those things are worth money too. That's part of what you're paying for. That's part of why they should have kept Buckner, and is part of why they're going to have to give Fred Warner $20 million a year. He's not just their best player. He's not just the heart and soul of the team. As Leo said, he's the brains of the defense. He's the quarterback of the defense. He's their best player. He should be their highest paid player going into next season, period.
I think that's a great point you brought up Aaron Donald, because you could say Fred Warner's the Aaron Donald of the middle linebacking group in the NFL. So the 49ers may feel different in that aspect to where, okay, he's the Aaron Donald of this position, so he deserves that $20 million.
Good point. Who's going to have more tackles in this game, Azeez Al-Shaair or Quan Alexander? Leo.
It's going to be Quan, because I think he's going to have more opportunity to be on the field. The Saints gave up a conditional 5th-round pick for him, so that means they see him as a 3-down linebacker, where Azeez Al-Shaair is probably going to see roughly 20 snaps or less. So just based on outside zone running scheme that the 49ers love to do, Quan is someone that could definitely go sideline to sideline with ease. So he's going to have that opportunity to be on the field more. And playing against a team that just traded you away is your first game with your new team, there's going to be a little extra spark in there. So it's going to be Quan.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be Quan as well. Same reason as what Leo just said. He's going to get a lot more reps, I think. Alshire usually comes off the field and nickel and dime, and I think the Niners are going to spend a lot of time this week in those sets. So he's just going to get a lot more snaps.
I was going to say Quan, but to switch it up, I'll go Alshire. I think that his special teams contributions will help, and then I think the 49ers, I saw Alshire on the field a lot on passing downs last week. I don't know if that was just trying to keep everyone out there and get everyone on the field because of a lot of injuries happening. But I think Alshire is a good way to – he's athletic, and Alvin Kamara is a big part of their team. Latavius Murray is also a big part of their team. People forget about him because he's the backup running back. But to stop both of them, especially Kamara out of the backfield, they might need 3 linebackers a lot.
Yeah, I think Quan's probably going to have more tackles, but I think he may play worse. The Niners always really praised Quan Alexander and said he was so good until they traded him. And now I have a feeling that they're just going to like exploit him in all the ways that we've seen other teams exploit him and be like, well, then why did you have him on your team? If you knew his weaknesses and you can go after them now, then why was he on your team? I think Kyle Shanahan is going to get him running around like a chicken with his head cut off, unaware of where the ball is. I think we're going to see classic Quan. So, maybe that'll be Azeez Al-Shaair too, because if you remember, Jared Cook went crazy the first 5 quarters of that game last year, and it was a lot of going after Azeez Al-Shaair in cover 3, him not knowing when to pick up the guy and carry him deep. So, I don't know. Neither one. I'm going to go with Quan, I guess. Next question. Who's going to have more receiving yards and catches? Brandon Ayuk or Emmanuel Sanders? Maverick.
I think Brandon Ayuk can, because I anticipate a little bit of a shadow between Marshawn Lattimore and Brandon Ayuk, and that's a good way to get Ayuk involved and get the offense going is those shovel passes and close passes to the line. I think the 49ers were at their best when Ayuk was getting the ball close to the line, and he's not going to get a lot of opportunities downfield with Lattimore there and then Marcus Williams, who is a decent safety, and all the Saints defensive backs. So get Ayuk those touches. That's how you get yards. Shovel passes count as receiving yards, as we've learned with Jimmy Garoppolo's stats, and that's what I think will happen this week.
Yeah, this was a really good question when I looked at it. My initial thought was that it was going to be Ayuk, and then you look at the numbers, and Sanders is actually just a little bit more, has I think 4 yards per game more than Ayuk over the course of the season. But a lot of that had to do with Michael Thomas being out too. So on this one, I'm going with Ayuk as well for that reason. I just think Ayuk's going to get more touches, and he's going to be a bigger part of the game plan than we're going to see with Sanders.
Really quick on the Quan thing, though. I don't know if the 49ers have the personnel to shake Quan out of their boots. It's a lot of his backups.
True. No, it's going to have to do Nick Mullins' own read all game, baby.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
But with getting back on the subject, I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk just because this game could get away from the 49ers pretty early, and they may have to play catch-up, so Ayuk could end up with 100 yards on the game, and then 60 of those coming in the fourth quarter. The Saints do have Michael Thomas back, so you would figure he's probably going to get 70% of the targets, and that's definitely going to eat into Emmanuel Sanders' fair share workload. Plus, even though I just wrote an article yesterday that the 49ers should try the Moore and Ward tandem at safety, 49ers might start Marcel Harris, and if they do, then that's just going to eat up the middle of the field for Jared Cook like they did last season against the 49ers. So Emmanuel Sanders, they'll try to feed him a bit. I don't see him getting over 40 yards, while Ayuk, I could see him getting having a 100-yard game because of garbage time at the end.
Yeah, I'm going with Ayuk too for all the reasons you guys stated. I think garbage time is an interesting point. Also, the game plan. I think Ayuk's going to be like Richie James was last week. That's going to be Ayuk this week. And the reason I say that, like, for the Saints, they don't have to force feed the ball to Emmanuel Sanders. Like, their number one option on offense is Alvin Kamara. He gets 20 touches a game. And then the other option is Michael Thomas, who's one of the best wide receivers in the league. And then they got Jared Cook. So when they feel like going to Emmanuel Sanders, he'll be open and he'll get some touches too. But Ayuk, I mean, the way I look at it this way is, first of all, they need to give it to him a bunch of time. Second of all, the Niners know they're not going to win this game. Kyle knows he's not going to win this game. But he would like to win the trade. He would like to win and be right about getting rid of Emmanuel Sanders and bringing in Brandon Ayuk. He can win that tomorrow. And I think you're going to see Brandon Ayuk get like 10 targets and 3 rushes, just so he can be like, hey, at least I made the right call on that one. And my team's injured. So what are you going to say? That's all. I think that's gonna be the win the Niners get on Sunday. What is the key for the 49ers banged up defense to slow down the Saints offense?
I think it's got to come from your back seven. You gotta mix up your coverage, and you can't just play zone all single quarter every single minute of the game, because if you do, a smart quarterback like Drew Brees eventually is going to figure that out if it's a close game in the fourth quarter. And so you got to focus on mixing up your coverage. If you could cover these guys, that's going to allow your limited pass rush to actually create pressure and maybe seize on the moment, because that's the only way if it gets done. I'm not going to say pass rush. That's not going to happen. You're going to have to stop this Saints passing attack through the air, rally to the football, and not let Alvin Kamara get 20 yards after the catch.
Right.
Yeah. It's going to be a really hard, because the best way to stop Drew Brees is to get after him, and the 49ers just don't have the ability to do that. It's going to be interesting to see how they even match up with Jared Cook. Jared Cook was beating Marcel Harris last year all over the field until he got hurt. So I find on this one, I don't see the defense playing well enough to stop them and hold them under 40 points. So they're just going to have to hope that Nick Mullins can keep pace.
I think the best way to stop the Saints offense, like Jack said, I don't know if they'll necessarily hold them to 20 points if they stop them, but I think getting them under 35 is a good effort for the defense. And the best way to do that is by playing tight coverage. Drew Brees throws really close to the line. The number I found is Brees is his intended air yards per pass attempt is 5.5. That's the lowest in the NFL. For scale, for Niner fans to understand it, do you know who the second and third quarterbacks are in the NFL in that stat category? Can you take a guess?
Is one of them named Nick and the other one named James?
Yeah, that's correct. Jimmy Garoppolo is 6.3 and Nick Mullins is 6.6. So all three throw short passes, keep it close to the line. And yeah, Drew Brees was without Michael Thomas for a lot of that. But even Michael Thomas, a lot of his yards are slants and curls and short passes. So I think you got to play close. And that's what Emmanuel Mosley was getting burned on, was those deep passes a couple weeks ago. And then he was giving up those short passes to DK Metcalf afterwards. So play close. Don't give up those. I think it's worth the risk to allow Drew Brees to throw deep a couple times if it shuts down the short pass.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Maverick in particular. The thing about the pass rush is the Niners couldn't hit Drew Brees last year. And a lot of it with him is he gets rid of the ball so quickly. You really do have to play tight man coverage. He's not going to run on you. So you play two deep, tight man coverage or whatever. Switch it up. You got to blitz sometimes. And take away the quick throws. Take away the slants as much as you can. Force the wide receivers to run deep. Force Drew Brees to throw deep and hold the ball long enough to get it out there. Absolutely, they got to do that. But also what I think they got to do, they really got lucky last year that Jared Cook left that game early. Had he played the whole game, I think the Niners would have lost. And what I saw from the Niners in that game is they were playing a lot of zone coverage on first and second down, as they used to do. And Sean Payton had a million ways to get Jared Cook on either Marcel Harris or Azeez Al-Shaair, on the two weakest guys in the back seven, and just killed him. So what Saleh has to do today is he needs to dictate the matchups. He can't let Peyton dictate the matchups. And if they're going to go with more man coverage, which is what they've been doing all year, then they need to – I think this is a good week to have either Jimmy Ward move to strong safety. I think they should move Jimmy Ward to strong safety this week and play Tavarius Moore. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the wrinkle that's coming. Because Marcel Harris has had his opportunity. They need to see Tavarius Moore. They're going against a passing team. Marcel Harris was awful last season against this team. Jimmy Ward, I've been really hard on him. But when he covers tight ends man-to-man, for whatever reason, no one targets him. And you guys have noticed this. Like, we never noticed Jimmy Ward because he honestly doesn't get targeted. So if that's the case, put him on Jared Cook and take that away and put Tavarius Moore in center field. If you're going to play Jimmy in man-to-man coverage and you need a center fielder, it's Moore. He covers the most ground. I think that's what's going to happen. The key is to get Jimmy on Cook and to play Team Moore in center field. Anything else are going to get dusted.
Well, and it's not like Alvin Kamara is a banger as a running back. He's more of a finesse runner. So if you want to look at it from that aspect, like, okay, Alvin Kamara is going to truck Jimmy Ward or Tarvarius Moore? No. So why don't you put these guys out there?
I agree. Agree. And, the Niners did a good job against Kamara last year, really. The one guy that they couldn't – well, they gave up a lot of points, but they really couldn't stop Jared Cook.
And the difference is you have 2 middle linebackers that are 3-down linebackers that can cover very, very well. A lot of teams don't have that, so they need maybe a little banger in the back end, but Jimmy Ward could hold his own for a little bit, and so can Tarvarius.
This is a family show. You can't just say banger in the back end like that.
Well, I'm not going like this talking about banger.
This is PG. My goodness. Oh my God. All right.
I'm sorry. I forgot it. I forgot we're 2020.
I'm sorry. I'm so immature. Okay.
It's all right. Family show. Is Larry Mullins going to the game? It's not too far from Alabama.
Larry, you going to the game? I don't know.
Larry.
What is the key to the Niners attacking the Saints defense, which did just a great job last week against the Bucs? Maverick. I forget. Sorry. Maverick, you go.
Well, the Saints have a good defensive line. I think David Onyemata had a good game last week against Tampa Bay, and Trey Hendrickson's also good. And then Marshawn Lattimore, like I said, I think might shadow Brandon Ayuk. But the linebackers, we know Quan Alexander has not been great. The linebackers aren't good as a whole. That's why they had to bring Quan Alexander in. Demario Davis is a decent blitzer, but he's had a down year. I think Leo, your PFF grade, you love those. He's in the 50. He's 52.7, I think.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah. And then Alex Anzalone has also not been great. And that's a way to beat him is those jet sweeps, get to the outside, get around, and force those linebackers to make plays. And that's how they can score points is Brandon Ayuk, JaMychal Hasty. I know we all want JaMychal Hasty to get touches. We don't know if he will. Jerick McKinnon on the outside. Get guys outside of the tackle box, and that's how they can move the chains.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to go back to what was successful for them a few weeks ago. Get like Mav said, the jet sweeps, those types of things. The new running back that they brought up, he's a pretty quick guy that I think is going to be able to help them attack the edge as well. Who's a little bit quicker out there than what we've seen from the other two guys. So I think they really need to just a lot of screens, a lot of jet sweeps and tosses, because that's what we're really seeing them be running the ball the best at is when they run toss. That's really been their biggest play all year.
So I think they got to do a lot of pre-snap motion and trick the eyes, even maybe have a wide leak play go on as well. I think you just got to confuse the hell out of his defense, especially a defense that has Quan Alexander on it, and they're expecting Quan to tell them, hey, what the hell's going on, in certain formations and things like that.
I was just there for a couple of seasons. I have no idea what they do over there.
And while Demario Davis is a hell of a inside linebacker, Quan is going to be more of the sideline to sideline. So you could essentially take Quan out of this game if you just confuse him, and I think Shanahan can still do that. Because Richie James showed that he's a guy who can play on offense. He's not just a punt returner to call a fair catch. As well as you're getting Brandon Ayuk back. And Kendrick Bourne, I would expect to play this game. And if I'm the 49ers, I would try to put Kendrick Bourne on Marshawn Lattimore as much as possible. Because he showed that he at least in the red zone, he scored on Marshawn Lattimore twice last year.
Marshawn COVID-19, is that the strategy? Just get Kendrick Bourne out there and have him coughing on people?
No, it's not. It's not going to be a World Series situation to where they pull a player out of the middle of the game because they just got his test back in the middle of the game. It's not going to be like that. So, but I think they just need to confuse the hell out of this defense. Pre-snap motion, even within the play, have a guy run the opposite way and have him nothing to do with the play. But you make Quan think he's going to get the ball, so Quan cheats that way. It happened all the time when he was on the 49ers. So I think that's something that they have to do. It's just a lot of bodies moving around.
Yeah, that's really good. I think what the key is for Daniel Brunskill to cough on the ball every time before the play and just to look up at the guy and be like, guys, I'm really not feeling well. I'm really not.
Oh, my God.
Hey, let's get him, though. Hey, good game. Can you play mind games like that in the NFL? Or did the refs hear that they throw you out? I like to play mind games like that when I was a JV athlete. I don't know. That's like the funnest part of sports. They should definitely cough on the ball and say, God, I'm just hung out with a little too much Kendrick Bourne this weekend, I guess. Seriously. I don't know if running the ball is going to work. This is a really good big D line. If they can get the edge and get outside the tackles, great. They're not going to run between the tackles effectively. And if they try to throw the ball down the field, good Lord. I mean, you saw what Tom Brady, what happened when he tried to get the ball down the field. That's a shot play offense They scored 3 points. You got to get the ball out of Nick Mullins' hands instantly. So to me, the key for the Niners offense is the Jimmy Gimmies. They need to be a bunch of Jimmy Gimmies. Like the first drive of the Rams game was 4 Jimmy Gimmies in a row, right? It was shovel pass, screen pass, shovel pass, screen pass. That's what I'd like to see. And, I asked Nick Mullins today. I've been planning all week to ask him this question. I forgot what the question was at first. Then they had to come back to me. But then I finally read it, and I said, Nick, I noticed that Kyle Shanahan calls a lot more shovel passes, negative yard passes, gimmies for Jimmy Garoppolo than for you. Have you told Kyle that you're not comfortable with those passes and you wouldn't like them in the game plan when you start? So he says, no, absolutely not. No, I have not told Kyle Shanahan that I don't want the gimmies in the game plan. I trust him. I like those plays. And then I think about 10 seconds into it, he figured out what I was asking. And he said, but by the way, he can't just put that in every game. It's sort of matchup dependent. It's sort of scheme dependent. They better be in the freaking game plan this week. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Nick, you said the right thing. I don't want to get you in trouble, but Kyle, don't give me that. They need to be in the game plan. And what you did, particularly against New England, a team that was trying to set the edge with a 6-1 front, it's like, all right, I'm not going to run on that. I'm just going to throw screens to the wide receiver. That play that the Niners do where Nick's in the shotgun, he has a zone read, and a wide receiver's bubbling out and running a bubble screen. That play works. Call that one. That's a great way to get around the edge of a defense that's trying to set it. I'd like to see those things. Yeah, we all said the same stuff, but
yeah. Reading between the lines on that, it tells me Kyle Shanahan's going to run the offense he wants to run while Nick Mullins is in there, because if Nick Mullins fails, who cares? It's Nick Mullins. He's not expected to succeed. Yeah. But with Jimmy Garoppolo, he can't really run that because that's his $27 million quarterback, and he's got to make him look good rather than running his offense. So right. I think Shanahan needs to get more to that. It's like, okay, let me protect Nick Mullins like I protect Jimmy G.
Well put, Leo. It's as simple as that. Protect Nick the way you protect your starter. Yeah. Kyle. Look at you, Kyle. All right, final topic, and then we'll be done. One piece of advice you have for John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan in the front office as they wrap up. Well, this season isn't over yet, but as they start to plan ahead for the next year.
Draft a quarterback. That's literally that's my advice. Draft a quarterback. What I'm worried about Nick Mullins struggling is, hey, if he struggles, where Shanahan or Lynch or the both of them might say, you know what, maybe Jimmy isn't that bad. Maybe Jimmy is our guy. So I don't want that scenario to happen because, one, I like Jimmy a lot. My daughter has a Jimmy jersey in her closet, but he's not the guy. The last time I looked at a team that won a Super Bowl with a quarterback that is average and doesn't play as a top 10 quarterback in the playoffs,
expensive,
and things just all came together was Brad Johnson in 2003. That's how long it's been. With Joe Flacco, he had a historic playoff run, a Joe Montana-like playoff run, even though he's nowhere near the player Joe Montana is. Eli Manning's had fantastic playoff runs. So Nick Foles has happened. Nick Foles had a historic playoff run.
So good in that Super Bowl. I mean, he took down Tom Brady.
Exactly. And so quarterbacks that haven't had those historic runs or aren't a top 10 quarterback in the league, the last time it was Brad Johnson. So
he's saying Peyton Manning in 2016. That was still Peyton Manning. I mean, he still could at least operate the offense on the field before the snap. But okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair. We could take that one, but that was all. I don't know. We could take that one, but it's Peyton Manning, like you said.
It's still Peyton.
And with that being said, it's just don't fall in love with fool's gold by seeing Nick Mullins struggle out there. Understand, hey, we need to protect this franchise, extend this. I know, Jack, you're not going to like this, but extend the Super Bowl window as long as we can and not have our quarterback eating so much cap. And draft a quarterback, because people that say Sam Darnold, that's fine. Yeah, there may be something there with Sam Darnold, but he has one good year under Shanahan. Now you're going to have to pay him $30 million, a Jimmy-like contract after one season. So same thing with Mitch Trubisky. He has one good year under Shanahan, which most quarterbacks would. You're going to have to pay him $30 million. So take a quarterback that's going to be cheap for a minimum of 4 years, because say nowadays we don't like putting players on 5th-year options. So he'll be cheap for a minimum of 4 years. Do the smart thing.
Good answer. Real quick, Sean has advice for the front office, and he says maybe we can shut down the power every time our receivers catches the ball, and every time they throw the ball, like in the Super Bowl, then we win. I like that. So Sean, thank you. Leo, your answer was almost as good as turning off the power whenever the receivers catch the ball. But yours was good too, but that's just brilliant. Jack.
Yeah. My advice to the front office and Lynch would be to stop giving big contracts out to guys that are, have an injury history or haven't proven that they can make plays.
Thank you.
That's what they've done. And yeah, sure, we can get rid of guys a couple of years down the road if it doesn't work out. You know what? If Armstead doesn't work out, we can get rid of him. You know what? Hey, Ward, no big deal. We can get rid of Ward the year after next year. Yeah, but you're also going to be eating dead cap. That's not good. You're paying for guys that aren't around. Stop wasting money. Start getting good players.
Yeah, pay the premium for guys are good and reliable. Pay the extra $4 million.
Yep.
Parag, Jed, look at you, Maverick.
I feel like one piece of advice I would say is to stop being a GM as if you're rebuilding this team. I think they were playing when they first started, bring Kyle Juszczyk in because you have to bring in any type of talent into the organization. And now it's like, okay, we had this talent, Eric Armstead and Jimmy Ward. We got to keep them. We have to keep every talented player we have just to keep us alive. But then make savvy moves. I think we're all on the same page where we aren't big fans of those Eric Armstead and Jimmy Ward contracts, those moves, and would have rather kept Buckner. But I think keep doing what they're doing in terms of building depth. The fact that there's even a conversation that at free safety, at linebacker before Quan Alexander was traded, on the defensive line, offensive line, that there's undrafted guys, 6th round guys that we think are better than the $1 million starters. I think that just shows how good this team is at building depth at certain positions, and that's big. But start playing those guys that you built depth with, like Tarvarius Moore.
I like that. Here, look, I got to give my own answer here. And what I would say is don't re-sign Richard Sherman. Let him go. Re-sign Jason Verrett if he's cheap. If not, let him go. Let K'Wan Williams go unless he's cheap. These are older corners. You got to draft a corner who can start on the outside no later than round 2. You don't wait until day 3 to draft a corner. It's just the supply and demand is not there. That's one of the most difficult positions to draft in the NFL. You got to take that no later than round 2. And it's something they haven't taken a corner in round 2 since freaking Shante Spencer. Maverick, I don't even think you know who Shante Spencer is.
No, he was my guy in Madden 2004.
All right, there you go. That's the last guy. It's not unacceptable. Unacceptable. It's really hard to find good corners. If you wait, you won't get them. They also have to get a slot corner. They need to be really, really scouting.
Jamar Taylor.
Good call. But he's getting a little old. I mean, you're not going to have that type of all-pro production in the slot forever. So you need a Jamar Taylor heir apparent, just because he's not. I don't think he's signed through next year either. So there's going to be a lot of teams bidding for his services. They got to draft a slot corner too. 2 corners next year, and that's on top of the quarterback they got to draft. The center they probably got it. There's a lot of things they got to handle. Don't forget the cornerback, guys. Don't talk yourselves out of the cornerback and be like, well, what if we just take a D tackle? Those are good. Don't. That's all I'm saying. And if you don't believe me, look at your first round picks stats. Okay? All right? And then look at Brian Allen, who's still on your team, I think, somewhere. I don't know. All right, guys. The game's about to start. Let's go watch the Titans and whoever they're playing. I'm curious. Who are they playing?
Colts.
Oh, great.
Don't they have someone that played on the Niners next year?
Hey, right.
Last year?
Hey, real quick. Real quick. Drafting Javon Kinlaw, spending the 14th pick to replace DeForest Buckner was rich. I mean, DeForest Buckner was the 7th pick in the draft, and if you could do that over, he might have been a top 3 pick. But even thinking that you could do that and then giving the guy number 99, man, that wasn't fair. That was just cold. Hey, go get him, Javon. Go be DeForest Buckner. No pressure. They got to change his number fast. That's all I'm saying.
I would say normally they would have a slot corner for next year, but I got to say I was wrong. Through 2 games, DJ Reed looks fantastic in Seattle. I was wrong on that. I thought
get him back.
I thought it was nothing when they got rid of him. I was like, oh, it's DJ Reed. Who cares? But he looks fantastic in Seattle. Dude's playing with some hunger.
All right. Well, I guess he just needed to get away from Santa Clara. Hey, Maverick's light just went out. That means we gotta call it. I'm sure it was a battery light.
It was.
SI check bounced.
Thanks so much, everyone, thanks, Leo, Maverick, and Jack, for your wonderful contributions today. This is always a lot of fun. And thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, some of us, and the rest will be back on Thursday next week. Take care.